Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast. The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Oh, yeah, baby. How's that for some tunes right there? Welcome back to it. It is the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station, and translator. And around the world at MichaelDukesShow.com on the internet. Hi, how are you? What's going on? You guys ready to rock and roll this morning? I am. I'm ready to do my thing. Today is Tuesday, which, you know the drill. Tuesdays are our days to put on our thinking cap and do the deep dive. That's right. We're going to dive into stuff and get into it today. Brad Keithley from Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets is going to be with us this morning. And he's going to be covering those weekly top 3 things. And we're going to be talking about whether or not there should be a reestablishment of a defined benefit program. We're going to talk about some AKLNG news. And we're going to talk about the federal infrastructure bill and how it's all this free money that's going on in the state, except for, well, no, maybe it still costs us some money as well. And so it's going to be a fun discussion with Brad Keithley here in just a bit. So look forward to that here in about 15 minutes or so. We're going to be diving into that with Brad, and we will have him on board for the remainder of hour 1. We'll take a few phone calls in hour 2, talk with you a little bit as listeners, and see if what your thoughts are on what Brad has talked about. If there's anything that just sticks right out at you that you want to chew on a little bit, and any other news that's going on out there, including, it's awfully quiet. It's awfully quiet out there. Awfully quiet. There's been some stuff on the national news headline. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Joe Manchin endorsing Lisa Murkowski, and Murkowski and Young pushing back against the RNC's comments on the January 6th riot, and Sarah Palin's in the news again for her libel scandal. But on the local level, there's not a lot of stuff going on. Nope. So other than they're going to have Oath Keepers is going to be they're going to talk about that in the legislature, because they don't have more important things like budgets and stuff, but they're going to focus on that for sure. So just in case you were wondering. So anyway, we're going to talk with Brad Keithley here in the first part of the show. And then in hour 2, as normal, we will start off with a few phone calls, and then we'll dive into it with our friend, our mentor, our guru of positivity, Christopher Story will join us. Anyway, he's going to come in and I don't know where I was going with that, but he's going to be joining us and going to give us our weekly dose of positivity. Oh wait, he told me yesterday what the topic. He gave me the finger yesterday. Not literally, but well, yeah, actually, maybe it was kind of literally. It was in my text message. He always treats me with such disdain. Are you running a protection racket? That's his question for today. Are you running a protection racket? And I really lied. He didn't really give me the finger, but he likes to poke fun at me sometimes, so I like to poke right back. That's how it works. Okay. What do we want to talk? What headline did I want to talk about today? there was something. It's just there's just nothing. Here we are. What are we? 3 weeks into the legislative session, right? Can I count correctly? Because today's Tuesday, right? So that puts us. This is like squarely into the 1, 2, 3. Holy cow! 1, 2, 3. This is like 4 weeks. We're 4 weeks into this thing. The legislative session today marks the beginning of the 4th week. There is nothing happening in the legislature. I mean, yeah, there's a few little meetings behind the scenes, and then of course we're going to be studying and investigating Oathkeep. I mean, how much time did they burn trying to remove David Eastman from all of his committees? Right? I mean, first they wanted to expel him from the legislature as in total, which, I mean, to me, that makes like him or love him, hate him or whatever. I mean, there was no reason to try and expel him completely from the legislature because he literally did nothing except pay a lifetime membership fee to a group 12 or 14 years ago. He did not. I mean, no charges, no nothing. We're going to expel him for that reason whatsoever. So when they discovered they didn't have, of course, the votes to expel him, well, now we're going to hold hearings for a couple days to see if we can get him removed from the committees. And now they're not even going to do that. Now, now they're not even going to do that because they just don't have the horsepower to make it happen. So instead, we're just going to hold a hearing. We're going to hold a hearing about Oath Keepers because they're evil. We know they are. But here we are again, 4 weeks into this, and this is what we're getting. This is what we're coming out of. There's just nothing else happening in the legislature. I happened to run into a legislator on Friday who was back in the Valley. And I asked him, I said, well, what's going on? They said, well, there's nothing happening. I needed to come back for some constituency meetings, and there was just nothing happening. So I left this morning, and I came back, and I will go back on Monday or Tuesday of next week when something is actually maybe potentially happening. I mean, this is the whole thing. I mean, we were supposed to remember. Do you remember how many of you remember the vote in 1999? Was it 2000, 2001? Let's face it. It was 20 years ago. The vote 20 years ago to change the legislative session length to 90 days. Well, I carried a petition. I actually went and got a petition and signed it, carried it around, passed it around. Remember, Jay Ramrus was the leader of that. And again, love or hate Jay Ramrus, agree with him or disagree with him, the guy was not wrong when he was talking about how ridiculous. He started this petition after he went down to the legislature the first time, and he's like, we're wasting a lot of time here. What, shouldn't we shorten this up? And all the politicians, we couldn't possibly do that. We need all that time to that. And here we are, 4 weeks, starting on our 4th week into this special session, with absolutely the most important thing that happened is that, the most news-making thing that happened is that Ron Gillum had a heart attack. Thank God he survived. But, that's like the biggest outside of this whole thing with Eastman and this witch hunt on Eastman, that's pretty much it. Oh, they've talked about having a few hearings in Senate Finance, and they're going to spend $100,000 to issue subpoenas for an inquiry as to why Angela Rodell get fired. Oh, and they opposed their pay cut, so they did vote on that. But other than that, as far as dealing with what's going on with our budgets and how they're how they're going to fix the budgetary problem, yeah, they seem to have forgotten all about that. Obviously, not everybody has forgotten about that. But those that are in charge, again, 4 weeks into this, I guess I should. This is the start of the 4th week. I shouldn't overstate it. I shouldn't Shouldn't do that. My apologies. Today is the start of the 4th week. 3 full weeks, though. And it's just, continual. We should have a 90-day limited session. What was the thing we were talking yesterday with Vance Ginn? He was talking about Texas has a biennial legislature where they set everything every 2 years. Maybe we should be looking into that. If we're gonna have a constitutional convention this year, which it seems like it's more and more likely that that's what's going to happen, people are going to be forced to vote on that, right? Because there's just nothing else going on. And if they're forced to vote on that, then maybe we start taking a look at, do we need a constitutional convention to make that work, or do we need a biennial legislature to make that work? They just seem to forget. How far do we have to get into the 90-day or the 120-day session before somebody says, hey, we forgot about this budget bill over here. Maybe we should pick this thing up and start, futzing around. Why does it take 30 to 45 days for them to even on a good – I'm not talking about last time when they had problems getting organized. I'm talking about even when they're organized, it seems like the first 30 days is soirees and parties and get-togethers and glad-handing, and nothing really moves beyond that. Why does it take that long? Right? I'm asking for a friend. Why does it take that long? So, oh, man. All right. So, anyway, these are the issues that really, keep me up at night as I lay there thinking about it. Representative Carpenter says, Colleen Sullivan Leonard's in the chat room. She says, Representative Carpenter was correct yesterday on the House floor when he said, where's the fiscal plan and policy? The legislature has lots of money, so they'll kick the can down the road again. We're going to have Ben Carpenter on the program this week. We're also going to have Joe Geldhoff and Donna Arduin on the program to talk about the permanent fund. And on Thursday, normally it's tomorrow, but on Thursday this week, Mike Shower is going to be joining us. I got a lot of stuff going on. So, anyway, tomorrow is going to be Geldhoff and Donna Arduin in our 2. And making sure that I didn't screw that up and didn't give you the wrong date. But Wednesday, 700. Yep. So tomorrow, it's going to be Joe Geldhoff, Donna Arduin. And then after that, we will have Mike Shower on Thursday with Ben Carpenter on earlier in the hour, either tomorrow or Thursday. We'll let you know. All right. Well, enough of this. We're going to hit the skids here. We're going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to continue. Brad Keithley is going to be our guest for the weekly top 3. That's all dead ahead here. It is the Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Come on out and join us on Facebook as well if you'd like to be part of the chat room, facebook.com/Michael Duke Show. Also on YouTube and Twitch TV, and pretty much anywhere you can find us, we're there. All right, we'll return with more right after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Well, hi. How are ya? I'm just going back here. The Nikiski rep said it was time to fix the budget long term, and Stutes tried to shut him down. That was Ben Carpenter. Yep. It takes 5 to 6 months for them to remember the budget is their primary job. I'll have to go back and watch Ben's speech yesterday on the floor. I mean, I love to watch Louise Stutes just what. I mean, I just when it's not. I just don't even have it here. I was just going to say I love watching Louise Stutes trying to run the meetings and do all this stuff when, for example, she can't Mr. Representative Prox, be very careful. I mean, what? Be very careful. Okay. All right. I mean, oof. Okay. Love to watch it. Love to watch it. All right. I'm going to get Brad Keithley on the blower here pretty quick because I want to make sure it's all set and ready. We had a few challenges yesterday or last week when we did this. So let me see if we can let's see if we can get this going on here, shall we? Oh, hey, look, I got audio this time. Last time we had a few technical difficulties. Let's see if we can get this going on here, shall we? And Brad is with us, and he's listening. There's a little bit of a delay. I can hear that on the thing. We cannot connect to your camera. That's fine. That's fine. All right. Hi, Brad. How are you? I could see
the location.
There we go.
All right.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Let's see if we can get this thing to hold together. Hold together, baby. Hold together. We'll see if we can. Sorry, that's a Star Wars quote for those of you who missed that. Yeah. So you all ready to do the weekly top 3?
I am. I'm trying a new connection, so hopefully it works better than last week.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I don't know if it's you or me, but one of us. I mean, it's not you. It's probably me, Brad. Don't worry. It's nothing wrong with you, Brad. It's probably all me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I suspect it was a little bit of both of us.
Yeah,
but I'm trying something different at my end to see if that works better.
Okay, good. Well, you look a lot clearer this morning. So you were a little pixely. You were a little pixely last time. Not that these people sign up to see either your or my face in the morning, but it is what it is. So, all right. Well, we're good to go. We're about 90 seconds out, so I'm going to jump back over, and I will be back to you here in just a hot minute. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks. Please do me a favor. Like and share this video. Like and share. Like and follow the show page. And if you're on YouTube, please make sure that you like, or excuse me, hit the button, subscribe button, and ring the bell. Hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. All right, and that will be good for you. All right, let me go over here and see what else is, if anything, has been said in the chat room, because I've been trying to get caught up in all the technical stuff. Good morning, my fellow free thinkers and degenerates, says Anthony. Anybody catch the new theme song this morning? I got the new theme song, so Facebook would keep killing me from orbit. I mean, it's what it would do. It would nuke me from orbit every show. And now we got the new theme song, so we probably don't have to worry about that, but I put a lot of juicy stuff in there, including Roger Holland's dumpster fire comment, which is one of my favorites. And we need to get a new perspective from Natasha. There's some good stuff in there. I might update that periodically with some of the new stuff coming out of the legislature, because that stuff is comedy gold, man. There is some stuff in there you can't help but make hay on that stuff. All right, so we're gonna jump into this. Let's get this thing going on. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Don't forget also, I think I've now got the workflow put together so the podcast will be up every morning on time. And you can check out the podcast over on Spotify. Let's do this thing. Here we go. Welcome back to the program. It is the Michael Duke Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this yo favorite radio station and or translator. We're going to jump into it now. The weekly top 3. That's what it's all about. Brad Keithley is our guest. Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets. He comes on every week to give us the rundown of what he thinks are the 3 most important things to talk about out there. And we start off this morning with him. Good morning, Brad. How are you doing?
Michael, I'm doing great today. How about you?
You know, I got no complaints. I got no complaints, my friend. It is what it is. Every day above ground yesterday was a Monday. Today is a Tuesday, so I'm feeling pretty good about that part of it. I made it to Tuesday. Congratulations to all of us for surviving.
And it looks like you made the drive in this morning to Anchorage.
I made the drive in this morning to Anchorage, which was survivable. Which, you know, it's always nice. 4:00 in the morning, nobody on the roads. Me and 6 other guys on the road, so I feel pretty good about it. All right, well let's dive into it here, Brad. The weekly top 3. What I guess where are we gonna start here? We're gonna talk about this federal infrastructure bill because everybody's talking about how great it was that we got all this federal. Look at who brought home the bacon. This reminds me of the whole Ted Stevens thing. Look at who's bringing home the bacon. Murkowski and Young and everybody's touting it, and now they're going to use it as a campaign slogan. But wait. You mean all this money's not free? I mean, not only is it printed money, not only is it not really tax dollars. In fact, it's going to cost us some money on top of all that stuff. What's up?
Yeah, so you were talking about the legislature not doing much. Last week was sort of a love fest about the new federal infrastructure bill, and as you said, all of the money that it's going to bring into the state. There was also an economic report that Musin Gatabi published last week that talked about the jobs impact of the federal infrastructure bill and said that the bill may bring as much as 14,000 additional jobs to the state. So it's everybody's, all excited about it, appropriately so, but all excited about the additional money in the projects and the potential for money going out broadly in Alaska, both to broadband and to other projects out west in Bush, Alaska, as well as projects in urban Alaska. And the jobs related to that, but and here's
a big
the thing. There's matching fund requirements. I mean, as Don Young, I think it was during the committee hearing last week, where the federal delegation, Lisa and Sullivan and Don Young joined. I think Don Young said, "Now remember, there's matching funds, and so I don't want to see the state." Missing out on these opportunities by not appropriating the matching funds. And lo and behold, those matching funds aren't in the budget yet. In the 10-year plan that Governor Dunleavy put out, they originally were going to put in, you can see it in the text of the 10-year plan, they were originally going to put in $200 million a year as a placeholder. But there was a very inconvenient thing that happened when they did that. The budgets didn't balance anymore. Even with the PFD cuts that he had in there, going down to POMV 50/50, as well as the suppressed inflation factor that they had in there, when you put in the $200 million for the matching funds, the budgets didn't balance. So it's in the text that they were going to create this placeholder for the $200 million, but it's not in the numbers. It doesn't follow through in the numbers, and it's not in the current the FY23 budget either. So we've got, all of this stuff is good. It's great to have this additional money, and it's going to produce nice projects and jobs. But the state's going to have to come up with its matching amount. It hasn't yet, and the question is going to be: is that matching amount going to come out of other programs, or in the absence of substitute revenues, is it going to come out of the PFD? Because that's the place it's got to come out of if we don't have substitute revenues, and we don't take it out of other programs. So there's a big issue sitting out there on the state side, and to sort of put this in context, this is the sort of thing that happened with the the Medicaid program over the or the Medicare, whichever it is, the state programs that have built up around Medicaid over the years. I mean, each time that there was a new program, Ted Stevens came back, or a new add-on that the federal government would match if the state added this program to its Medicaid programs. Each time Ted Stevens came back and said, "Hey, there's this brand new program that we just passed in Congress. We'll give you federal matching funds. All you have to do is come up with 50% state share, and then we get all this additional money coming into the state." And step by step over the decades, that's how we got a Medicaid program that is the has the most options. Alaska has the most options, Medicaid options, adopted the most Medicaid options of any state.
Right.
They're all, it brings federal funds in, but we build up all these state programs.
Well, and the worst part of that kind of stuff, Brad, is when they say, "Oh, look, we've got this brand new federal program and it's great and groovy, and all you got to do is you got to pony up not 50%, sometimes it's only 10% or 20%. And wouldn't it be great?" And somebody says, "Well, yeah, but what about the funding?" And don't worry about that. And then 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, the federal funding starts ratcheting down and down and down. And all of a sudden, Alaska's on the hook for not 20% of the program, but maybe 80% or 100% of the program, because there's no federal funds for it. And now they're like, "Well, you can't kill the program now because there are people who are dependent on that. You can't do it." I mean, that's exactly where we're at.
Exactly right. These transportation programs, I mean, they're talking about mostly 10% state match to the transportation piece at least, and so it's and so the pitch is it's not that much. Well, at least the Dunleavy administration at one point thought it was $200 million a year, which is quite a bit. And so we get all excited about these programs, and I'm not trying to knock the programs, and I'm not trying to knock what the federal delegation did, and I'm not trying to say these are bad things, but there's another side of it that we very seldom step up to and recognize, and this is going to be in the tight budgets that we've created over the past decade. Well, longer than that. In the tight budgets that we've created, $200 million is a big deal. And coming up with that $200 million, I mean, how are we going to do that? Is going to be a big deal and a big issue. And so we need to recognize that these are not costless programs to Alaska. There is a cost. And as I say, in the absence of substitute revenues and in the absence of cutting it out of other programs, and the Dunleavy administration hasn't proposed to do that, it's going to come out of the PFD. So basically we have middle and lower income Alaska families that are going to end up having to pay for all of this goodness that's going to descend on us.
So all this free money, wait, it's not free. And in fact, it's not only not free, it's hitting the lowest and middle income folks hardest in the state of Alaska, because that's the answer. I mean, that's really, and yet they get to pound their chests and brag about how all the money they brought. Look at us. Look at what we did. Look at all the good stuff. I mean, there's groups out there that are touting Murkowski for look at all she did for, some independent expenditures that are like, look at all she did for bringing this infrastructure to Alaska. Meanwhile, people are getting hit in the economy. And it blows my mind that this is the thing that we continue to fall for in this cycle of pain. I mean, really, this is the thing this is the cycle of pain we just can't get out of.
It's sort of like the Charlie Brown. I mean, what you're describing is sort of like the Charlie Brown episode where Lucy's holding the ball. And
one more time. Come on, Charlie. One more time. I promise not to yank it out. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it is.
Well, it should be a wake up call. I mean, everything should be a wake up call given where we are, but it should be yet another wake up call. It should be, hey, we're getting all these federal funds, but it's going to cost us $200 million a year. Where's that going to come from? Oh my God, it's going to come from the PFD. Shouldn't we be talking about longer term fixes to our budget so that every incremental dollar that comes out of comes out of the budget isn't coming out of middle and lower income Alaska families. It should be a wake up call to fix our budget. It's not going to be. I mean,
No.
I don't think,
No.
other than Don Young, I don't recall anybody mentioning the state matching funds at Friday's hearing / Love Fest.
Yeah.
But you know, we need to temper our excitement about all these federal funds coming in with a recognition that there is going to be a cost on the state side.
Right. I mean, wait, there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as free money. I mean, one way or the other, we're going to pay for this. And again, matching funds and the fact that we're printing money to do this and borrowing and all this kind of stuff. I mean, you know, I do not look at this. I do not look at these dollars coming into the state with the reverence that many people seem to. Oh, look at all the great stuff it's going to do for the state. All I can think of is that every time we spend that dollar, we're borrowing, you know, whatever it is, 60% of that dollar to do it. And it blows my mind. So, all right, well, we'll be asking some questions of politicians about how they are going to find that $200 million for the federal match. And, you know, what are we going to do about that? So we'll ask those questions of the politicians as we go through here. Brad, we're coming up on the break, so let's go ahead and give us a tease for number 2. The latest news around the Alaska LNG projects around the state.
So the Alaska Gas Line Development Corporation, I think that's the current name of it, last week announced the results of a new Wood Mackenzie study. Wood Mackenzie is one of the best consultants out there. A new Wood Mackenzie study on the LNG project and announced some developments that they claim makes the project a lot more competitive. There's a couple of issues with that and a couple of big issues with that. And we're going to discuss that in the second segment.
Isn't there always big issues when we're talking about Alaska LNG and all that? I mean, we've tried to develop that. I remember I think it was Jim Whitaker that had the picture from the news miner framed on the back of his wall of his office. It said something about gas line next year, and it was the news miner from 1959 or something. It was just like, you know, we've been talking about this for, I mean, God knows how long. But all right, well, we're going to get into that here in just a moment. Folks, don't go anywhere. Brad Keithley is our guest. We'll return with him here in just a moment. Don't forget, you can always join us out in the chat room, which is on our social media feeds, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch TV. Feel free to come on board and join us. The Michael Duke Show continues, your home for common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
What is that?
Common sense. Regularly heard on American radio. Michael Duke Show. Radio.
Okay, in the break with Brad Keithley, now Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets, and we're gonna talk about some other stuff real quick, shall we? I mean, I think we should get this done. Brad, actually, why don't I? Brad, why don't you tell us a little bit about, I know you want to mention your music. You had some music stuff you wanted to talk about. I'm going to turn the hosting duties over to you for a minute. While I return, I have to go answer somebody's call. I'll be right back. But you can tell everybody about what's going on in Fairbanks with your band. Your one of your favorite musical acts is coming up, and you're going to be giving it all to everybody. So I'll be back in a minute, and you can tell everybody all about that. See, look, okay. It's a twofer. It's a twofer. All right, go ahead,
Thank you,
Brad.
Michael. So one of the things I do with the rest of my life when I'm not doing this stuff is I spend a lot of time following music, particularly Celtic music and particularly Scottish and Irish music. One of the hottest tickets, one of the best bands, Scottish trad bands, traditional bands, that I follow, that I've followed for years, that I spent time going over to festivals in Scotland to see, flying over to Scotland to see, is starting their U.S. tour this week, and they're starting it in Alaska, which just excites the heck out of me. They're going to play Valdez on Wednesday night, February 9th. They're going to play Anchorage on Friday night, February 11th, at the Performing Arts Center, presented by the Anchorage Concert Association, and they're going to play Fairbanks on February 11th, Saturday night, at 12th, 12th, Saturday night, whatever the heck the date is, at Fairbanks Concert, presented by the Fairbanks Concert Association. It's going to be at the Civic Auditorium, I think they call it, out in Pioneer Park, old Alaska land, the round building. But this is an outstanding band, and as I say, I've traveled over to Scotland several times, always adjusting my schedule to be able to see this band and others. They're coming off an outstanding performance at a festival in Glasgow called Celtic Connections that has been this past couple of weeks. They had a sold-out 1,300 seat show. Not that anybody sat in seats; they were standing throughout the show, and just had a wonderful performance. So, for those of you who have any interest whatsoever in Scottish traditional music, and we're not talking about pipes and kilts here. We're talking about some really energetic, vibrant music. If you want to see a snippet of it, go on Facebook, look for the group Talisk, Talisk, and just take a look at some of the performances that they've got on there, some of the videos that they've got on there. It's a very energetic group. Three of them, a concertina player, but just the most rapid concertina player in the world. Fiddle player, who's every bit the equal of the concertina player, and a guitar player. Just an exciting and energetic and wonderful group. I'm really excited that they're coming to Alaska. It's a big, actually a big coup for Alaska. This is as I say, it's the hottest ticket in Scottish trad music now. Their U.S. tour is going to go from coast to coast, literally coast to coast, adding Alaska, but going to go from coast to coast, hit some big cities. But they're starting it in Anchorage. During the week, they're also going to be releasing their new album, and actually will be touring the album. So that's the genesis of having the tour. But it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, I can't wait. I love me some kind of that Scottish feel. And I think folks out there hopefully will be excited to go take a look at it. And when is the Fairbanks date? This weekend, right?
So it's Saturday. So Valdez, for those of you in Valdez, listening from Valdez, you have them on Wednesday night. Anchorage has them on Friday night, and Fairbanks has them on Saturday night. And you can get tickets through the Valdez Art Council for Wednesday night, the Anchorage Concert Association for Friday night, and the Fairbanks Concert Association for Saturday night.
And if I know you, you're going to watch them on Friday and then go to Fairbanks and watch them on Saturday, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I almost signed up for Valdez too, but it's so hard to get over there and get back. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that to the band. They're coming in tonight. They come into Anchorage tonight and stay overnight, and then go over to Valdez tomorrow. And I'm going to meet them at the plane tonight to say hello.
Oh, good. Well. This will be fun stuff. So, folks want to find out more, Talisk, and again, Wednesday in Valdez, Friday in Anchorage, Saturday in Fairbanks. All right, Brad. Well, thanks for co-hosting there for a minute. Sometimes, you can't. I just couldn't get away from it. That's how it works sometimes. All right, here we go. Jumping back into it. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Share the show. Like this video. All right, Brad Keithley, our guest, Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets. We're continuing now talking with him, the weekly top three. We just finished up talking about all those federal matching funds, and we were teased about the Alaska LNG project by Brad. And so now he's going to dive back into it and give us the real deal on what's happening with AKLNG. Brad, what's the scoop here?
So the new analysis that the project has done is looking at a different commercial structure for the project than they have before. Previously, the project was anticipated to be upstream owned. That is, the producers would own the project, produce the gas, be transported down the line. That was in part producer owned, in part state owned. That was the Walker vision. Taken down to Kenai, where an LNG liquefaction plant would liquefy the gas and ship it out to the Far East. They've played with that project design, and now they've stepped away from the producer or the upstream owned concept, and basically they're turning it into a utility that would be just involved only in cleaning up the gas on the North Slope, transporting it, pipelining it down to Kenai, and then having the liquefaction plant at Kenai. Physically the same facilities, but commercially those facilities would be owned by a separate company, a project company, that would make its money through a tolling arrangement or a transportation arrangement or a fee arrangement with either the producers on the one end, if they wanted to own the product all the way, if they wanted to own the product to sell to the consumers, or potentially consumers who would buy the LNG consumers who would buy the product up on the slope, and then arrange a contract with the owner of the facilities to transport it and liquefy it at Kenai, and put it on ships down there. That new commercial structure, they think, lowers the cost because they can do what they call project finance, that cost that would be based upon the toll arrangements as opposed to based upon some other arrangement, the producers putting money into it, and would lower the cost as a result of being project finance. They've also, as part of the Infrastructure Act, as part of the bill that just passed Congress changed the law so that the federal loan guarantees that previously applied only to a pipeline that went to the lower 48 now can apply to this LNG project as well. And that would help. The federal loan guarantees would help lower the cost. The net result of those various steps is to reduce the cost of the projected cost of the project below the projected cost of new projects in the U.S. Gulf Coast. A combination of lowering the cost in that fashion and the transportation advantage that Alaska has over U.S. Gulf Coast projects. We don't have to go through the Panama Canal, for example, which has a fairly substantial fee structure, and make the project more competitive in that fashion. But there's two things about the revised project, or about the new commercial arrangements that are important and significant, and to some degree troublesome. One is that as part of lowering the cost of the project to make it competitive, they assume that the gas price for the gas that would go into the project is lowered from $2, which is what they used to assume, down to $1. So there would only be a $1 net back on gas back to the producers. That means the state's take in terms of royalty and production tax would be lowered substantially from what it was assumed in the previous cases. So frankly, a significant part of the increased competitiveness of the project that they're touting is coming at the expense of both the producers on the slope and at the expense of the state in terms of a lower take. It's not clear that the producers are willing to sell the gas for $1. I mean, the producers have, obviously there's a lot of gas behind pipe that can be produced from existing facilities, both in Prudhoe and in Point Thompson, but not nearly all of the gas you would need for the life of the project is sitting behind pipe right now. So you're going to have to go out and develop additional gas supplies.
Right. And
the question is whether producers are going to be willing to do that for $1. So that's one significant factor. The second is they've assumed a lower cost in part as a result of dropping the property taxes that would be assessed by the localities and the state down to a much lower level, a level that they say is competitive with what's going on in Texas and Louisiana, where a lot of new projects are being built right now, but significantly lower than what I think we've assumed before in the Alaska project. So we're making it more competitive, but that's in part at the expense of the state in terms of revenues and in part in terms of the local governments.
Isn't it almost better to say we are theoretically making it more affordable? I mean, again, this assumption that we're going to cut the netback cost in half and, again, potentially drop it. I mean, there would have to be some agreements with these boroughs and the municipalities on the taxation and state on the taxation issues that would have maybe a 20-year lifespan or something like that, like first in, or for you get a tax exemption for X number of years for building it. But eventually that's going to go away, so it's got to pencil out early on, and you got to get a lot of people to say yes, Brad. And we've seen, like I said earlier, it was always interesting to see that full-page ad in the Daily Newsminer from 1959 that says we'll have gas next year, and here we are 60 years later, 70 years later without the gas. I mean, there's a lot of ifs in there.
Yeah, they're in a marketing mode. I mean, they're trying to sell this project. Now that the state has gotten it sort of packaged up in a way, they're trying to sell this project. And frankly, part of what's going on here is, what have I got to do? Where can I bleed costs out in order to make this thing look competitive? And that's what they're doing by assuming the lower netback to the producers, and by assuming a lower property tax as well. It may, I mean, if you make those assumptions and you change the commercial design in a way to lower the cost of the financing cost of the project, which is what going to a project finance project does. If you make those assumptions, it does pencil out to be lower than Gulf Coast projects, not by a huge amount, but by enough to make a difference. So they may be able to entice somebody in here and pick up the project at this point, but that's what's going on. They're trying to make it look competitive, and in doing so, making some assumptions.
17 trillion cubic feet of gas on the North Slope that we could do something with eventually. Again, if they're willing to part with it, and they're willing to part with it for the dollar amounts that you've speculated about, should be interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we won't have to wait another 70 years before we see that headline again. All right, well, let's talk about number 3 today, and this is one that I've got a little bit of a heartburn about, and this is this discussion about whether or not we should reestablish defined benefit programs, or a limited defined benefit programs. I mean, defined benefit programs is what got our pension system in such an uproar and had us upside down so badly. We're slowly whittled away at that, billions and billions of dollars, to where we're now, it seems to be more manageable. And, of course, every year somebody else brings up the fact that we should go back to defined benefit. The problem, it's what created the problem in the first place. Now there's a case for reestablishing it in a limited way, I guess mostly for first responders and public safety. Let's talk about this.
So there's a bill in the legislature that seems to be getting some traction that would reestablish defined benefit plans for public safety officers. And the argument is that Alaska is not competitive, to retain public safety officers. We police and fire. We get them employed. They start working for us. They start getting trained. They start getting some experience, and then they're attracted to go elsewhere to other states or other localities, because we don't have a competitive package, compensation package, is the argument, to retain them here. And the key part, according to the argument, the key part that we don't have is a defined benefit program. That other localities are offering those, we aren't, and so people are getting their training here. They're getting some work experience here, and then they're parlaying that into employment elsewhere, and leaving Alaska, and leaving us with, as a result, a lower trained workforce than we otherwise would have, a more costly workforce because turnover is costly. You have to go out and constantly bring in new people. And so that's the argument, and the bill's making some headway as a result of that. It's sort of the crack in the door, though. I mean, you can see the teachers sitting there waiting because teachers don't have defined benefit either. And in fact, a lot of teachers in the state don't have Social Security either. So you can see the teachers sitting there going, okay, well, let's get this done for first responders. Let's sort of make them the wedge that gets the door open. And then we're going to start bringing the teachers in, because the same argument, the teachers are making the same argument that we're having a lot of turnover in the state because, we train teachers, we give them experience, and then they move outside for better compensation packages because we don't have defined benefits here. It's a debate we need to have, but the other part of the debate needs to be, show me that we don't get ourselves right back into the situation that we've got now, that we still have, which is, this huge hole in our benefit, in our retirement plans, that we're having to fill every year by making annual contributions out of the state budget,
right,
of not insignificant amounts. Even now, we're in the $200 million range. So you show us the cost benefit that we're not getting, that all of the costs that you say are coming as a result of having to train new people, and the turnover and the costs associated with turnover. Show us that that's more costly than the cost of having the defined benefit plan, and then show us how we're going to make sure that this defined benefit plan doesn't create a hole going forward, so we're not just saddling future generations with the same problem we've had. I've not seen that case made yet.
No, and I think they'll have a hard time making that case, quite honestly, because we've seen it. We've seen defined benefit programs across the country basically be subsumed. I mean, Delta and GM both turned their defined benefits programs over to federal management to then be able to change to a defined contribution. We've seen defined benefits programs basically eat whole budgets, and we just know that it is a hazardous road to walk.
Well, it's eating our budget. I mean, up until 2013, we were projecting $1 billion a year. There was a projection of $1 billion a year that we were going to have to
right,
that we were going to have to set aside to cover the hole. We handled that by making a lump sum $3 billion contribution in 2013 or 2014, whichever it was, over to the benefit, and sort of stemmed the tide. And we've had good stock market since then, so it's sort of gone down a little bit more. But we need to have a handle that we're not going back into this situation going forward before we go down this road again.
Brad Keithley, Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets. Thank you, my friend. And don't forget to catch Brad's favorite Scottish band this weekend, Talisker, Friday in Anchorage, Saturday in Fairbanks. Brad, thanks for coming on board and joining us.
Michael, as always, thanks for having me.
You can find them at the Concert Association if you want to get more info. Hour 2, dead ahead. This is always, of course, they've been wanting to change back on this, Brad, on this benefits program for years. I mean, ever since it was changed to defined contribution, people immediately started squawking about, even though there was a $12 billion elephant in the room, they were like, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. We need to take care of these employees no matter what, and that's the only way we'll get a good employees if we keep the defined benefit. Again, if you look at the history of defined benefits across the country, you could see that defined benefits, like I said, they ate whole economies. They ate whole budgets. All the big majors who had them, including GM and Delta, are the two biggest ones that I think about. They had to turn theirs over to the federal government because it was going to eat them, and they had to have wholesale changes to it. This is just not something that we should lightly embrace at this point.
Exactly right, Michael. And the reason that we haven't had as much publicity about them in recent years as we did back in the 20-teens is because the stock market has done so well. So all of these pension funds, all of the state pension funds that have been set aside have done well. Ours has done well during the build up to the stock market. If the stock market goes back, if the investment community investment returns sort of levelize again or go back down again, we're going to be talking about these pension funds again, because basically it's a bet. The defined benefit programs are a bet. Can you get the returns necessary in your investment portfolio to stay even with, if not a little bit ahead of the obligation you've created through these defined benefits?
Right.
And so it's a bet that's good and works when the investment portfolio is up. It's a bet that doesn't work so well when the investment portfolio is down. And so the question is whether the state wants to take on this risk. And other states have, and not every defined benefit program has gone down the tubes, and other states have, and there's a competitiveness issue about it. But before we go down this road again, show us that you've got a plan to keep us between the ditches where we don't run off the road again and run into this huge hole again. And I don't. There's been a lot about, we need this to be competitive. We've got too much turnover. We've got, we're losing police, we're losing fire, we're training, we're going through the expense of training them up here, and then they go elsewhere. We got a lot of churning about that issue. We don't have the same amount of activity and focus on the cost side, and,
right?
And we need that before we go down this road again.
Well, and of course, with Alaska's defined benefits, particularly, it was the health care that was the driver on a lot of that stuff, and we have no idea where it's going. I mean, it could be going up, it could be stabilizing, but I mean, it's probably a good bet if you want to bet on history. It's a good bet that it's going to go up higher than anybody expects, just because as things advance, it gets more expensive. That's just how it works, and so to just open ourselves up to that and assume everything's going to be okay. Not a good bet, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's an assumption of risk, right? I mean, who's going to take the risk of the future? Is it going to be the employer, the government, or is it going to be the individual who, under a defined contribution plan, can make contributions for themselves and and run their own investment portfolio? And a lot of other places do make it the government's risk. The government is the one that assumes the risk. They make it part of the compensation package. But we once bitten, we ought to be twice shy about.
Well, not to mention the fact that we've already got it out there, right? We already have our current, snowball of money out there that we're trying to constantly keep up on. And now you want to, if we had no pension debt, it would be one thing. But to now say, well, we need to start this up, even though we're still paying off a couple $3 billion of pension debt that's still out there, or unfunded liability that's still out there. I mean, we have to be extra cautious at that point.
Oh, we do. I mean, because we're knowledgeable. I mean, we're on notice. This thing can go bad, and it's not like we have a lot of give in our budget, right? To be wrong about this. So, yes, there are no doubt additional costs as a result of employee churning. There's no doubt there are additional costs, but there are huge potential additional costs coming from going to defined benefit to avoid what might be, in comparison, a relatively minor costs from the churning.
Yeah.
And we just need to make that calculation. And as I say, I've looked for it, and I've not been sold that we're doing the calculation right yet.
Well, until they can show you that on paper and show you how it should work and hold us harmless, then I guess we should be ignoring that for sure. All right. Well, Brad, thank you so much for coming on board, and enjoy your weekend of Scottish music. And I hope we all got to have something we love, and I'm glad you're living your joy on that.
Well, it's a tremendous opportunity for anybody who even remotely enjoys that opportunity. We're getting the best of the best in terms of new Scottish trad over here. And as I say, this is not your pipes and kilts thing. This is energetic, exciting entertainment. Go to Facebook, go to the page for Talisk, Talisk, look at the videos. We're getting something that just sold out in Scotland. We're getting it over here fresh, and it's just a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So
no.
If you remotely like the music, come out and watch them.
Yeah, I've sent it to my Spotify several times after you recommended it, and it definitely is good. I mean, I get a lot of work done when I'm listening to Talus. They get me going, so that's good stuff.
Yep.
All right, well, Brad Keithley, Alaskans for Sustainable Budgets. My friend, thank you so much for coming on board. As always, it's great to hear from you.
Michael, as always, thanks for having me. All
right, folks, we're going to continue here with more. We got Chris Story coming up here in just a moment. We're going to be talking. With him here, and getting his take in just a bit for his weekly top three. That's all coming up here in just a few moments. Up next, we're going to take some phone calls from you and see what you have to say about any of the things that we've been chatting about this morning. I see there's been a lot of talk on YouTube this morning from Ken and Jimmy and a couple others talking about this idea of trucking ore from Tok, apparently. Is this from Pogo? Is this where it's coming from? They're supposed to truck ore from Pogo up to Fort Knox, and what it would take and how many rigs and how heavy on the road and everything else. I heard something about this a few weeks ago, and there was an estimation that basically it would be a continuous stream of trucks, essentially, 2 miles between each truck, a continuous stream of trucks going from Pogo to Fort Knox and back. If you want to call in and sound off about that, guys, you can. I don't know any more about it than what you've just said or what I've just mentioned here, but I hear that it is a proposal. What's the community saying on that? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say on that as well. It's a new mine in Tok. Okay, well, I'd like to hear more about it if you want to sound off. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
The Michael Duke Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Welcome back to the Michael Duke Show, Hour 2 of the big radio broadcast. I think we got a little sync issue there. I ran over the time. Hi, how are you? Good morning and welcome to Hour 2. I mean, it's just a good old-fashioned low-budget radio show. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, Hour 2 of the big radio program. Thanks for coming in and joining us. We have got Chris Story joining us at the bottom of the hour. Well, in the second hour break, we're gonna talk with him. We will talk with Chris Story and get a feel. What are we going to talk about? He sent me the text message, and I want to make sure that I don't misquote him. He gets so grumpy when I misquote him. Are you running a protection racket? That's going to be his topic for today. And we're about 10, 12 minutes away from joining Chris with that to get our weekly PMA session out of the way. We're also going to be doing a new segment with Chris called what are we going to call it? We're going to call it the Backyard Millionaire because, well, he wrote a book of the same name, and why not? I mean, hey, I'm a capitalist. I'm here to help him out. We're going to do that the first Tuesday of every month, where we dedicate a segment. We'll still be positive about it, but he's going to talk. Last week, we talked a little bit about some real estate investment, and I thought we had some really good questions. Some really good questions and some really good discussions about it. If you missed it, you can go back and listen on the podcast, but it was a lot of fun. It was interesting, and I got to keep Chris interested because otherwise he gets bored and wanders off in the pucker brush. So we're gonna try and keep him excited about that. With the first Tuesday of every month, it will be the new Backyard Millionaire segment, and so we'll be talking with Chris about that. All right, so in this segment, phone lines are open at 433-3150. The Pivotel call-in lines, powered by our friends at Pivotel and Satellite West. We'll take some calls from you to see what are some of the topics that you want to chat about, whether it's something we just picked into with Brad or something else that we hit on earlier. I would love to see what you have to say. And so feel free to give us a call. You can also drop us an email. The email address is me@michaeldukeshow.com, me@michaeldukeshow.com. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say on that, and we'll get a feel for it. Let's go over here to the phones right now and see what's on your mind. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
This is Ken from North Pole.
Good morning, Ken. What's on your mind this morning?
I was calling in about the new plan from Ken Ross to haul ore from Tok all the way back up to Fort Knox.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I'd heard something about this the other day. I mean, the other day being, 3 or 4 months ago, where they were talking about because they were building a new mine facility, but they didn't have the crusher, the extractor, or whatever that they needed to do. And they decided that they wanted to truck it in heavy dump trucks all the way from Tok up to Fort Knox. But somebody said or speculated that what they would need to do that to keep up with the demand is like there would be a truck on the road every mile or something, basically continuously going from Tok to Fort Knox and back. Is this the same project that we're talking about?
It's the same project, but so what they've decided is they're going to use semis with double trailers. I think they're custom-built double trailers, and they're talking about 4 trucks an hour traveling back and forth between the new mine in Tok and up at Fort Knox. It's because to avoid a lot of the environmental restrictions and all of that, they're not going to build a processing mill in Tok. So it's only economical if they move the ore up to Fort Knox to mill it. So
this leads me to a couple of questions, and maybe there are questions that you can answer or questions that you've asked yourself. I mean, first of all, the environmental impact of a mill in Tok, okay, great. I can see I'm not doing that. But what about the impact on the highways of fully loaded double trailer rigs every 15 minutes, 4 times an hour, running nonstop, I'm assuming 24 hours a day, back and forth to the mines? That's got to be some heavy-duty stuff going on. It's got to be some heavy-duty wear and tear.
Absolutely. They did a couple of meetings up here in Fairbanks along with the Department of Transportation to state, I believe they're going to be giving some money to the Department of Transportation. The DOT is already talking about putting in 16 new sets of passing lanes in the highway between Fort Knox and Tok to help relieve some of the stress on the roads and some of the pressure from traffic and all that. But it looks like Ken Ross is going to be at least kicking in some of the money to help with the added wear and tear.
So I'm assuming you're calling, Ken, as a concerned citizen, having to see this and deal with this. What are your thoughts overall on this?
Well, I look at it as, we can't really restrict the highway. Everyone's allowed to use it. It's for everyone, even businesses, to use. I think that it's going to bring in a whole lot of jobs to our community. I mean, all of those trucking jobs, the added construction jobs, not to mention the mine down in Tok. So I think it'll be a net good for our community, but I do think it's going to add a lot of traffic, especially, in the summer when you've got hunters and campers and everybody else on the roads anyway. I think that you're going to see some traffic backups.
Well, all I could think of is now would be the time to invest some money in creating a trucking company, that'll contract with this. I mean, if you had just figure it out, there's 24 hours a day. If you started a trucking company with 4 trucks and bid on the job, you'd at least be busy. You'd at least be busy with that for the rest of your life at this point, if that's what they're going to do. This is interesting. I mean, people in the chat room are saying we should do a rail yard and everything. But I mean, at $2 million a mile for all the way from Tok to Fort Knox. Even if you just brought it up on the regular rail lines to have to complete all that stuff, oof, man, it's a big deal. What's the community? I mean, have you talked to your neighbors? Is this something that they're excited about? Is it more opportunity, or is it? Are we more worried about the congestion?
Well, I think that a lot of people are excited about the added businesses is going to bring to the community. The added jobs. And all the money it's going to infuse into the community. I think that's heavily needed. But yeah, there's definitely some people that are concerned about it wearing on the roads. They're concerned about the safety of all those added trucks on the roads around everybody else. And so I think overall people look at this and it's Fairbanks. We need the jobs, we need the money.
Yeah, no, interesting to see where this goes. Like I said, I had heard about it earlier, but I guess there had been a lot of questions on that. So, what are they going to? Are they still? Have they decided, or are they still making the decision, or what's the latest, Ken, that you've heard?
So the latest that I've heard is, it's the plan that's going forward. Like I said, they've had meetings in the community with the DOT to let the community know about their plans. I know that they're still in the permitting process for the mine, but they don't need a permitting process for the trucking plan. But it's my understanding that this plan is a go, and like 2024 or 2025 they want to start having trucks on the road.
Well, like I said, maybe somebody can work their capitalistic magic and take advantage of that. Meanwhile, maybe there should be some more discussions about extending the railroad all the way out to Tok. But again, at a couple $1,000,000 a mile, that's not a cheap endeavor either. So, all right, Ken. Well, thank you for bringing it up to our attention and giving us what information you have. We'll see if we can find maybe we should reach out to Ken Ross to see if we can find somebody there that can talk to us about it. It'd be an interesting discussion. Thank you for coming on board with us.
No problem at all.
Appreciate you calling in. All right, let's go over one more call here, 433-3150. Good morning. Who's this?
This is Mark from Tok.
Hello, Mark from Tok. What's on your mind, sir? I'm assuming you want to talk about what we were just chatting about.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mark, you're breaking up. You want to try one more time?
That many trucks.
There you go.
Hello?
Go ahead, Mark. You broke up.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I drive from Tok to Delta every day for my job. Even without that truck traffic, it can be quite a challenge, especially in the winter. We have trucks on the road already, and when it's wintertime, you can't see to pass them. It's going to make my job, as well as there's quite a few of us that commute, it's going to be almost impossible to get out from behind these trucks.
Well, I'd love to hear, I'd love to hear another alternative to that. What about the economic development and the jobs potential in your area for the mine and all that?
Well, most of us were for the mine. I've worked in mines and actually was all for it. Thought it might put some local people to work. This pulling out, saying that they don't want to do the cyanide process there on site because of the permitting. That was kind of a trick. We felt that they kind of got us supporting it and then pulled out. This was a surprise that they weren't going to build the processing plant there. So I feel a little cheated, but just listening to your last caller, Fairbanks is all for it. They want the money, but it's going to wreak havoc on these small communities of Tok and Delta. You know, we drive this highway to get to Fairbanks to do our shopping, and to be stuck behind that many trucks, it's almost ridiculous that they're planning that much traffic.
Well,
I've talked to my local DOT crew, and they haven't talked to them at all. Maybe they're talking to the bigwigs, but the local guys don't know much about it.
Yeah, I mean, even putting 17 new passing lanes or pull-out lanes or everything else, I mean, that's going to take – I mean, we know that that's a 5-year process no matter what, and if they want to start in 2024, that's not a lot of time to get those things rolling. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Thank you for your perspective on this, my friend. I appreciate you listening down there in Tok, and we appreciate you being part of the show today. One final call here before we go to break. We got one more call on the line. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, morning, Mike. This is Herman Morgan calling from Antioch. Maybe I should pick a topic next time. It's good to talk about these things, but on national news, there's a concern that the insurance companies are seeing 40% increase in death. 10% would be alarming, and they're wondering if these mass inoculations have something to do with it. And they're saying politicians and these medical professionals, they know about it for 2 weeks, but they're not saying anything about it. And our politicians are so busy with money and GDP, and some of them don't know what to do about it. But there's something pretty bad happening. Been saying that for a couple of years now. We're seeing in villages, but check out Tucker Carlson, Fox News. He's saying there's a mass casualty event happening.
Okay.
And it's funny, nobody's saying anything about it.
All right.
They're too busy talking about GDP and everything, sir. You know, maybe next topic you could bring it up.
Yeah, next time we have an open line, maybe we'll discuss that, Herman. Thank you for calling in and joining us. I appreciate it. Folks, that leads us up to the break. We've got Chris Story. He's going to be coming up with us here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show continues. Your Uplift up next with the topic of, are you running a protection racket? That's up next with Chris Story. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
It's the Michael Dukes Show.
Why not take a quick break?
Be right back. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, we're in the break right now. We got one more line on hold. I know Chris is going to be calling in a minute, but let's take this caller real quick to see what they have to say. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, North Pole, Alaska, Brother Joe.
Hello, Brother Joe. What's on your mind, sir?
Man, I just think about all the time we ride our Harleys and everything in the summertime back and forth between Tokes and all that. We run in a fuel truck all the time, you know, and get around them and everything. But I think the good outweighs the bad. I mean, everywhere we go, even when we live in North Pole, driving into Fairbanks, you know, you get past all the petroleum trucks, the double trailers. I mean, adding one more every 15 minutes, considering, you know, United in town, it takes 20 minutes to pass one truck. Yeah, no, I think as long as they keep up safety for everybody, and best, you know, I think it's going to be okay. And the wear and tear, I think it's going to happen all the time. I wonder how much the women are grinding. I mean, this last week on my Subaru, on my brand new tires, I got a blader tooth in my tire, ruined my brand new tire, and that's from them scraping roads up that ice rink. So, I mean, that had more wear and tear than the truck.
Right. Well, I mean, I think there's an opportunity here, Joe. I mean, obviously there's a good opportunity for people who are, you know, business-minded and things like that, and it'll be a boon for the community. And I think people are wary of change, and especially people in their own backyards. I mean, Mark from Toke, he may have since he drives it daily, from Toke to Delta, he may have some insight into that. But I think we need to find out more about it. And see what the deal is. But as you said, I think it could be a good thing. But we should, get all the information that we have on it. So 100% for sure on that. Thank you, Joe. It's good to hear from you. Thanks. You're breaking up. I'm sorry, Joe. What was that again? Now we just lost you, Joe. Thank you so much for calling in. It's good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in. Good to hear from you, my friend. Tell Kellen I said hi. All right, my friends. We are in the break right now. My buddy John from the Alaska Study Industry says that they demand 4 years of studies pertaining to the trucking issue on the Old Rich. No studies, no trucking. Period. That's the Alaska Study Industry. They want studies that study the study that they previously had the study from. That's what they're looking for right now. All right. Phone's ringing. Chris Story joining us this morning, getting ready to, I don't know. He gave me the finger earlier. Oh, no, that's a thumb. That's a thumb. It's not a finger. It's a thumb. I see. It's good.
Jeez.
I just don't know what to say. Are you all ready this morning, my friend?
I am ready. You're already in Anchorage. You've accomplished more than most of us already.
I mean, that's how it works sometimes. You got to do what you got to do. At least, my car didn't break down at 4:00 in the morning somewhere on the highway, so I'm feeling pretty good about today already. So it's a good thing.
Hey, gratitude. I was just reading about gratitude. I was reading a study on the gratitude done a few years ago. So there you are. You just won the day already, Michael.
Well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that study on gratitude. Hey, I want to quickly, before we got 90 seconds here, you pitched it last week. It Works, or no, week before. It Works. Did you say that was RJH? Is that still available in print?
Yeah, it's a tiny little pamphlet. Yeah, you just get it on Amazon. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I had several people ask me about that
yes.
After the show, and I gave them what information I had. But if you want to mention that again today, I think it's an interesting thing, and I keep meaning to take it up. I haven't taken the time to actually write it out and have it in my hand. So that's something I need to do this week. But it does work. So we'll talk about that as well. Chris Story, the man from Homer, in our on the phones, ready to go with us. All right, are you guys ready? I'm ready. I'm ready to do this thing. We're going to jump into it with Chris, and then I think, I believe Rob Myers is going to be joining us in the third segment. He just sent me a message, said he's been following this issue on the trucking from Tok to Fort Knox pretty closely, and we'll get some details from him on that on the other side as well. Please like and share this video. Like and follow the show page. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. Let's do this thing. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. It's a Matt Funicello. Oh, yeah. I know. It's a surf party, baby. It's a surf party. We're all up for it. All right. Well, let's dive into our weekly life coaching lesson with none other than the man, the myth, the Tony Robbins of Alaska. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the program, Mr. Christopher Story. Hello, my friend. What's I know that was. Would you like me to record that for you? We can put that on your phone. I mean, it would be a great greeting, you know.
I would like a little bit of a sounder in the background of a crowd cheering and, you know, that kind of a thing. But yeah, I like that a lot, Michael.
You like that a lot?
You tickled me early.
Okay, well, that's my job. Tickling you early and often is my job. All right, my friend. So you wanted to talk today. Your topic was a question, basically, to the listeners. Are you running a protection racket? And so, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I am, based on what you're saying or what you're thinking. Give us let's jump into it.
I came to The Sopranos late in life, and that's not an embarrassing statement to make. I think I ignored The Sopranos for my entire adult life until 3 years ago, and then I consumed all, 5 or 6 seasons, whatever it was, in the span of like a month. So I became an expert in. Later that month or the next month, I watched a movie called Goodfellas.
You've
heard this.
Right.
But there's this whole subculture of Italian American entrepreneurship that I was totally unaware of. Anyway, but in a serious note, protection. It's a racket. You know what it is. You're suppressing other people's rights. You're extorting them. You're taking away their rights, and you're in exchange for money. You won't hurt them, and you won't let anybody else hurt them either. But my question is, are you running a protection racket on yourself? Are you holding your own self hostage, not risking too much, never really allowing yourself to step out towards the edge? You never get a chance to taste the salty edges of not measuring up, because guess what? You didn't actually put yourself in the arena to risk it. It's so much safer to stay wrapped in the warm cocoon of what you've always done, because potential is always alive in our mind. And if it's alive in our mind, nobody can take it away from you. You never failed if you didn't try, but you're growing in your mind of like, one day maybe. But that undiscovered opportunity in that one day maybe, nothing ventured, no one can blame you. So we say nothing ventured, nothing gained. But really it's nothing ventured. Hey, nobody can blame me. So
Right.
I'm concerned that if you're running a protection racket on yourself, it's going to feel good for a while because you get to avoid failure. But at some point, you're going to look back about something you thought about, dreamt about, wanted to do, wanted to go, somebody you wanted to become, something you wanted to accomplish in your life, and you look back and you go, I want to risk it, but now the tightrope has gotten higher and higher over the years, and it gets to a point where it seems impossible to venture out on it. So what seems like a dream that could be within your reach today, in 20 years delayed, it could be so far away, there's no way you're going to risk it. So that running that protection racket on yourself puts you in a very comfortable, safe place, but also it's one of the most dangerous places to stand on Earth.
Maybe I should put it in words that you understand, that by running a protection racket on yourself, you're actually kneecapping your future opportunities.
Yes, nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
way
you
to
like
go.
that. You like that, huh? I mean, you took your future opportunities out back and you put one behind its ear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. You cut your own horse's head off.
Exactly. No, but I mean, I hear what you're saying because, I mean, today it's always about, right, FOMO, right? Fear of missing out or fear of failure or fear of this or fear of that. We live in a society that it really lives and breathes fear in a lot of ways. And it seems like that is what is the driver for many things that we're doing. Whether it's fear of COVID or fear of missing out or, you know, whatever, fill in the blank. There's a lot of different things. We need to understand how to harness that fear and put a halter on it and you know, pull the woe back on it so that we can take those leaps. Sometimes you got to take the leaps. Like you said, nothing ventured, nothing gained. We're only learning the nothing ventured part. We're not listening to the nothing gained part, that you have to risk sometimes to be able to succeed. And it seems like with the participation trophies and everything else that we got anymore, everybody is just like, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want anybody to get hurt or be afraid or, you know, you've got to stretch outside that comfort zone.
Look, I spent 20 years building this business. You expect me to just go take a flyer on this thing over here? Well, only if that's what you want. If you have a desire. So I think it's three things combined. It's the measure of your desire. It's your ability to believe in what you're capable of. And can you imagine it? Can you have can you take and see it? And if there is something you can see and it's something that you're drawn to, but you've yet to risk going for it, or you've yet to allow yourself to fail in an effort to just see what you're capable of, that's all I'm worrying about. I'm not suggesting we take a scorched earth approach. I think one of the things we've learned over the last 2 years is that you are capable of more than you ever thought before. And I think that our country is capable. I think we're rebounding. I think we're starting to unify. I think it's coming in strange ways, but unification is coming. And I don't mean in a socialist or, communist way. I mean a unification of, that's right, this is a country of rugged individuals that take risks. We are a risk-oriented people. That is the reason we've been the shining city on the hill. We have that opportunity in this country still, and I believe in each and every one of us with that opportunity. Jim Rohn had 4 questions that I think would hone this into a way to, how do you apply this? Because I know you're going to ask me, well, how do you apply it? Okay, I've got 4 questions from Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn is an incredible business philosopher and somebody who wrote books and spoke for 30 years after he didn't have to. He had made his fortune, and then he went out and said, you know what? I want to share this. And in the process of sharing it, made another fortune, but he didn't need it. But he took the money. He'd always say that. I don't need the money, but I take the money.
But I'll take it, right, exactly.
So when you think about this protection racket, and you think, okay, am I really protecting myself, or am I actually, muzzling myself? Ask these 4 questions about something that you wish to do, something you want to become, something you want to accomplish. This is the first question, number 1. Why? Do you really understand why? As Nietzsche said, with a strong enough why, you can withstand any how. Why? Why do you want this? Why do you say you want this? Why haven't you gotten it so far? Why haven't you done it? Why have you been holding yourself back? Ask that question again and again. Why? The second question, relative to as you look at what it is you think or say you would like to accomplish or do, second question is, why not? Why not?
Right.
Why not have that? Why not do that? Why not become that? Why not contribute this thing to the world that you might have been holding yourself back? And the third question, why not you? I think self-confidence is the missing ingredient, the elixir of life that so many of us are lacking in these areas that we're protecting ourselves from fear, is because we're lacking in self-confidence. Why not you? Why does it have to be that? Well, of course, that person could do it, but why? No, why not you? You are capable. You have capacity. You have enough passion if it's harnessed and put in the right direction. Why not you? And then the fourth and the most powerful, sort of potent question of all 4 that Jim asked was, why not now? This is your time. This is the time to start. Why not now? Why wait until the kids get out of school? Or why wait till you retire? Why wait till this happens? Start now.
Well, again, that's where you get into the analysis paralysis, right? You got the first 3 down, and you can circle think on those for as long as you want. But when you're baked in a squat, you've got to take that action phase. Why not now? Why not now? Is it going to be better later on? Is it going to be better when the kids are out of school, or when the kids are out of diapers, or when the kids are out of the house? I mean, why not now? Wouldn't you like to enjoy the benefits of that now versus later? But a lot of people, like you said, they get through those first 3 and then they're like, ooh, protection racket. I got to protect myself, because if I fail, then it's what? If you fail, then what? I don't think people think beyond that. All they think of is, if I fail, okay, you failed. So what? I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Thomas Edison, right? I'm in Team Tesla. I'm not in Team Edison. But one thing that always struck me about Edison is that the guy was, he was dogged. They said he tried almost 10,000 permutations on the filament of the light bulb before he finally found one that actually worked. 10,000 failures. So he failed 10,000 times. It was that 10,001th time that made him a superstar, right? And so if you fail, so what?
What I love about his story is, though, that he was kicked out of school in, 3rd grade or something. He said, he's too stupid. He's uneducated. We can't educate this kid.
Right. Well, shit, that's Einstein. Remember Einstein? They said he was they said he was retarded because he couldn't tie his own shoes. Because that was just one of his things. And then later on, he's like, Nobel Prize, baby. What is it? That goes back to the whole, be careful of who you surround yourself with. But really, think about it, Chris. People go, what if I fail? And nobody bothers to ask them, well, what if you fail? How many times have people failed all around you? How many successful people have failed? I guarantee you, every successful person has failed at least once.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I like is the pursuit of happiness is guaranteed it's an inalienable right that we've got, but it's guaranteed in the doctrine. It's guaranteed in the preamble to the Constitution. I love that. But it's the pursuit. Perfection is in the pursuit. That's where the happiness lives. It's in the pursuit, not a guarantee of happiness, but a pursuit thereof. And I think that's the same thing with what we're talking about today, that if you wish to do something and you've been protecting yourself, you've been holding yourself back and shielding yourself from that risk, this is the time to let go and understand that it'll never be a perfect time except to begin now and begin to pursue what it is that you want. And then I come back to that other question about be careful about what it is you say you want, because if you don't truly believe it, if you don't have the belief, the expectancy, and the desire, then you're actually just going to be disappointing yourself.
Right.
So you've got to combine those 3: expectancy, can you visualize it and see it? Do you have the desire, and do you believe in it?
Well, and you've said several times, and you say it in your book, The Backyard Millionaire, available on Amazon and Audible, by the way. You say it in your book, be careful of the people you surround yourself with, right? You've got the whole circle, who's inside the circle, who's outside the circle. But this focuses on the hidden enemy within the circle, which is yourself. Mm-hmm. If you don't give yourself permission to fail, then you will always be baked in a squat. You will suffer from analysis paralysis. And so you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to fail. But and if you do fail, at least make sure you fall forward, right? Because at least you're 6 feet closer to your goal, and then get up and do it again and fall down and 6 feet closer. And, maybe it takes once or twice, or maybe it takes, like Edison, maybe it takes 1,000 times. But you will eventually get there if you give yourself permission to do that.
And you'd asked me, just before we jumped on here, you'd asked me about the little book I'd shared weeks ago called It Works by RHJ, and he wanted it to be anonymous. It's a tiny little pamphlet. It's about a 20-minute, if you're thinking it's about a 20-minute read, you can blow through it less than that, but it's this incredible little pamphlet, and that's all it really is a little tiny pamphlet for about $4, and you can pick it up on Amazon. It's fantastic, and it outlines exactly a rule, a plan, a way to move forward towards something like you and I are talking about, and truly it works. And that's the whole concept behind that, is to really identify what it is you want based on importance, and then look at it daily, 3 times a day. Look at it, believe what you're reading, believe what you say, have a sense of expectancy that you can visualize and harness the image in your mind of accomplishing, doing, or getting. And then it's about believing, and then being very careful about who you share it with, so as not to even see that little crooked expression on somebody's face. That's right. Like, oh, there's the why not you? Yeah, because you're a loser. That's right. and you talk to yourself. Zig Ziglar always said that. You talk to yourself like you'd never let somebody talk to you in your life. You let yourself dump trash in your mind. You never let somebody else come and do that to your home. So anyway, I just wanted to share that again. That It Works by RHJ. When you're on Amazon getting The Backyard Millionaire, pick up a copy of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I know we're going to be I'm going to be focusing on that, and I'm actually going to be reporting back to you on that because I'm taking the lessons from that, and I want to talk about that. I have to laugh because Harold in the chat room says, a pamphlet to change your life, sigh. I got to tell you, I've read a lot of books over my lifetime. I've read a lot of books on thought and self-help and everything else. I will say that a couple of the books that changed my life more than anything else were the small ones, the little pamphlets. You know, the 26 pages of As a Man Thinketh, the Go-Getter, things like that. A lot of times it's the small things that are succinct, that don't have all the flowery stuff in it, that change your life more than anything else. Final thoughts, Chris Story.
I think that's a great comment to make in general, that we overcomplicate or we expect it needs to be complicated. We need to know, is RHJ a PhD? What is his bona fides in this? All you need to know is a single word can change your life. It doesn't take even a pamphlet, one single word. But my word for you is belief. I believe in you, even Harold. I think you've got within you what it is that you need and can accomplish anything in your life. And I can't wait to see what this year brings for you.
Absolutely. That pamphlet, by the way, It Works. That's what it's called. It Works by RHJ. You can find it on Amazon right next to The Backyard Millionaire, written by my friend Chris Story. Available on audible.com, read by some guy from the radio. And I guess it's been doing pretty good. So I'm excited.
It has been. You bring it to life. The comments I constantly, and I never mind it either. I never mind that people that listen to the audiobook tell me more about the narration than they do the writing. It doesn't matter to me. You bring that story to life. So you are half the story.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, it's all the source material is all important in those kind of things. When you're performing something, if the source material is crap, then what you're doing is crap. But if it's good, then it's all due to the source material. It has very little to do with what I do. So, Chris Story, the man from Homer, thank you so much, my friend. As always, looking forward to the first Tuesday of next month, the new Backyard Millionaire segment. So we'll talk more about that next week, okay?
Right on. Thank you, Michael.
All right, folks, we're out of time. We got more coming up. We're going to jump into this. Senator Rob Myers is going to be joining us here right after the break, and we're going to talk about this trucking thing. He says he's been following this quite closely, and we'll be talking with him about that here in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Our light, our guide, and our trusted friend. Michael Duke Show.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, half the time I have to roll my eyes when Harold writes a comment, but especially on that one where he's basically saying, oh, it's a pamphlet? Pshaw. A pamphlet to change your life? Blah. Some of the books that have changed my life, and again, As a Man Thinketh is the one that comes to me. I remember I used to have it, and I've had several copies over my life because I've reread it so many times. But remember, I had a copy of it that was about, 1.5, 2 inches by maybe 3 inches. This little yellow hardcover book, and it was like 26 pages. And imagine pages that were legible. So I don't know how many pages it is when you put it on a full, but I mean it. That book changed my life, and it was really a pamphlet. It really was a pamphlet, and it changed my outlook on everything. So yeah, maybe I didn't need the 300-page manual on how to make my life better. I mean, I've read a couple of those, and I got a lot out of them. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's the simplest thing, the simplest phrase, maybe one single sentence that can turn your whole life. And all you're ever doing is searching for that one phrase. So it's good stuff. Alaskan Bull said he listened to that book last week. I'm not sure if he's talking about The Backyard Millionaire or It Works, but Whichever book it was, Bull, you'll have to give us a review of it and tell us what you thought about that. All right. Looks like Rob Myers is on the phone with us this morning, ready to go. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Michael. We're doing okay so far.
Oh, good. Every day above ground, a good day, right? I mean, that's kind of the that's
what they keep telling me anyway.
I know, really. That's kind of the thing, is that it's just every day above ground is a good day. All right. Well, we're going to be back to you here in just a hot second, Rob, so don't go anywhere. It's easy to tear people down instead people and ideas instead of doing something. Well, it's always easier to destroy than it is to build, right? That's what it is. It's always easier to destroy than it is to build. That's just kind of a it seems to be kind of a natural a law of nature almost. A law of nature. Trucking all that dirt and gravel down the Richardson Highway will tear the road up with a truck every 15 minutes apart, says Chris. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I had to laugh. Somebody said earlier, only in Alaska do people think that 4 more vehicles an hour is a massive influx of traffic. I mean, granted, we're not we're not I-5 in California or Washington or something, but I mean, it would still be a significant bump, I would say, on that. But yeah, I see the point. I mean, I definitely think it's going to offer more wear and tear on the highway for sure. But I mean, there's always a benefit. There's always more wear and tear when you increase traffic, whether it's for construction, military convoys, mining, or even hauling fuel back and forth. There's always, if there's more, there's always going to be more. So, all right. Let's see what else is in the chat room here. They're wanting to backfill the 1,800-foot deep pit at Fort Knox. Before, they said the pit will fill with water and become a recreational attribute to Fairbanks. Jim is not happy with Fort Knox on that stuff, apparently. Let's see. Vaccination, COVID. Grocery stores increase traffic too, says Barbara. I agree with that. Jim says, stuck behind either an Army convoy or a bunch of ore trucks, just floor it and hope you can get past them. There's not much difference. I mean, kind of true. And if it's one every 15 minutes, I mean, how, if you're traveling at 61 miles an hour and they're traveling at 60 miles an hour, that means that you only have to pass it every 15 minutes, right? I mean, so I just don't know. I don't know. The trucks are safe, says Jeannie. The four-wheelers sharing the road with them are the problem. I don't really see four-wheelers sharing the road being a problem, Jeannie. You don't see a whole lot of four-wheelers on the highway. Some of the other feeder roads and side roads, I could see that, but I don't have a problem with people riding four-wheelers on the highway or on the side of the road, or snow machines, quite honestly. As long as they're obeying the rules of the road and they're not pulling out into traffic, I think that's, again, this goes back to my whole vaccine thing. I think we're all adults and we should be treated like it. We should be able to make our own decisions. When you break the rules and interfere with somebody else, then that's a whole deal. Tell the corrupted state-owned railroad to build a rail from Tok to Fairbanks, says Harold. Well, I mean, we'd love to see it, but again, at $2 million a mile, somebody's got to pay for that. I think that was if I recall correctly, that was the last dollar figure that I saw on that it's about $2 million a mile to build railroads in Alaska. Did GoFundMe steal the truckers' money? Yeah, well, they didn't steal it. They refunded it to everybody, and now the truckers have got a new GoFundMe thing. It's Go Send Me or something. It's a different one. They've already raised about $4 million on that site, so there's a whole nother Reason Magazine's got an article about that, Sandy, if you want to go take a look at it. All right, we're coming back up on it. Rob Myers is our guest, The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Here we go. Welcome back to the program. Continuing now, one final segment. Joined now by special guest Rob Myers, Senator Rob Myers, who was listening to this discussion about the trucking from Tok to Fort Knox. and sent me a message that said, hey, they've been following this quite a bit, and he's happy to discuss it with us. And so we welcome him to the program to discuss it this morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing well so far, Michael. How about yourself?
No complaints. Nobody listens anyway, so there's really no point. Let's talk about this proposal by this new mine down in Tok, and with no processing facilities is what they're planning as of this moment, and they're going to be trucking everything up to Ken Ross, Fort Knox, out past Fox, and they're saying upwards of I guess 4 trucks an hour. What's your thought on that?
Okay, so here's the general rundown. They are supposed to have this mine in operation starting in 2025. It's supposed to last approximately 5 years, and they, as you say, they will be trucking. They'll be doing some small processing of the ore on site to concentrate it slightly. Then they'll be loading it into side dumps and double trailers and taking it up to Fort Knox. You're correct. They are looking at approximately 4 trucks an hour, about 1 truck every 15 minutes. And there are 2 possibilities. A lot of it depends on who gets awarded the bid. And that's supposed to be awarded sometime next month, last I heard. And there's a possibility that they can either put it in the long doubles that you are used to seeing on the Parks of Richardson. And those doubles are long enough that legally and technically, once you get to Fairbanks, you have to split it and then take them up to Fort Knox. Or you can do a little shorter set of doubles that'd be about 25 feet shorter. And that one, you could actually leave them together and take them up to Fort Knox. Ken Ross has said that they prefer the second option, but that's all wrapped within the bids from the trucking companies. And there's like 3 companies still left in the bidding process, last I heard. And like I said, they're supposed to have that announced next week.
Right.
Yes, definitely a lot of new traffic. Here's a couple of things that we've picked up from Kinross and from DOT lately, though. First off, this is what DOT is telling me. If you take the truck traffic that currently exists on the Richardson Highway, add in the truck traffic that is supposed to be coming from this new Kinross project, that means that the truck traffic on the Richardson between Delta and Eielson would now be approximately equivalent to the truck traffic already going through Cantwell on a daily basis.
Okay.
So this is well within their capabilities in terms of maintenance and keeping up with the wear and tear on the roads. So that's the first thing to
I would only make the argument that having driven many of those roads between Cantwell and Fairbanks, there are several sections of that road there that I might argue that they have a hard time keeping up on. But I see your point. I mean, I see your point on there. That road has gotten better over the years. And 4 trucks an hour doesn't seem like a huge increase overall. I guess it just would see. I guess you just have to. I guess we'd have to see it in action.
Right. Yes. It would be a significant increase in some areas. They said that in Delta, you're looking at about a 20% bump in traffic in terms of number of vehicles. In the Fairbanks area, we have enough traffic here that you're looking at just under a 1% bump. So I believe that Fairbanks would absorb the traffic just fine. It would be more of an issue on the highways. The Richardson, the Alcan, that's taken up a lot of the talk. There's also some things that we've been talking about with DOT that hasn't seemed to have garnered as much attention, but they're also examining the East Highway from Fairbanks up to Fort Knox itself,
right.
And they're looking at a possibility of a couple of projects there to make sure that road is ready for them as well.
Well, again, I mean, I see a lot of potential. I see a lot of upside, and of course, people don't like change, and there's probably a little bit of a NIMBY factor in this, and not in my backyard factor. But at the same time, I think we can overcome it. I mean, I really do. I don't think that this is. I just don't. I don't know as that will be that big a deal. Now, that's 4 trucks per hour. Is that both coming in and going out combined, or does that make it 8 trucks an hour coming in and going back?
That's 4 trucks an hour each way.
So it's 8 trucks an hour, essentially, at that point. So every 8 minutes or so, you're going to see a truck go back. one way, either one way or the other. And depending on where you are, it'll be doubles or it could be singles.
Correct. Yes. If they do have to split them once you get north of Fairbanks, then yes, you would have to then double that number theoretically for what's going up to Fort Knox. If they can keep them together, then it's still just that 8 trucks an hour going up to Fort Knox north of Fairbanks as well.
Well,
and DOT has said that they've got a lot of things in mind as far as road upgrades between now and then. The big one that everybody has been talking about so far is adding in a lot of passing lanes on the Rich and on the Alcan, so that, as I believe one of your previous callers mentioned, you can get around those trucks safely. We already deal with some of this with the military convoys stuff. The difference, I think, is the military convoys, for whatever reason, seem to drive 45 when the speed limit's 65, but the trucks will, for the most part, attempt to do the speed limit. The other thing that they've talked about is that there's a couple of bridges down on the Alcan that need replaced. They're in between in between Delta and Dot Lake, because both of those bridges, while they've had some work on them over the years, the structures still date back to the late 40s.
Right.
And so they're hoping that they can use the federal infrastructure money to replace those bridges here around 2023, 2024, before the project starts.
Right. Now, I know there was a lot of talk in the chat room about rail. Why don't we just build out the extension from Delta to Tok instead, and then they just have to truck it to the yard in Tok and rail it up? That's a significant chunk as well, but it would also have benefits that would pay out into the future.
Well, you're right. I mean, but it's a significant chunk of change. And the thing to keep in mind is that this is really only a 5-year project right now. And so you're not going to build a rail line for a project that's only going to last 5 years. If this project is going to last, 30, 40 years, then, maybe that might pencil out. But you're not going to build a significant investment of, 150 miles of track when you're only talking about using it and having that customer there for 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but again, I think you'd have to look at a rail as being a long-term benefit to people in Tok, and then potentially an extension out to the Canadian rail. But it is what it is. All right. I'm interested in seeing what it's going, and I'm excited about the possibilities. We just have to make sure that everything is taken care of. All right. Rob, thank you for calling in this morning and talking about this. We're out of time today. Appreciate it. Give us a heads up if anything changes on this, okay?
You bet. And I already dropped a link in the chat room to a website that DOT has up with a list of all the projects that they're looking at potentially in that corridor.
All right. Thank you, Rob Myers, our guest for this morning. We appreciate it. Folks, we're out of time. Tomorrow, we're going to be joined by Ben Carpenter in Hour 1. And in Hour 2, Donna Ardwin and Joe Geldhoff talk about the permanent fund dividend. That's all up tomorrow. On Thursday, it's Mike Shower and more. The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense Radio. Be kind, love one another, live well. Well, that was a lightning fast show, but that's how we like them. The fastest 2 hours in radio, baby. Woo, baby. That's what we like to do. All right, my friends, we're out of time. We will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Like and follow the show page. Like and share the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and hit the bell to get notifications. We'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Dukes Show.